Hello. Today again I'm with a very special person. He's a very senior Congress leader. He's a poet, he's a lawyer and Union Cabinet Minister for IT, Communication, Law and Justice. Yes, I'm with Shri Kapil Sibal. Sibal Saab. Welcome to my show.
Thank you.
Today I'm a bit confused. I'm talking to a poet, I'm talking to a politician or I'm talking to a lawyer.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess this is kind of like you used to have an ice cream called 3-in-1.
Right.
Maybe
okay.
you're talking to a 3-in-1.
Oh, that's great. So what prompted you to write this poem, the latest poem?
No, this is not the first time I've written. In fact, I have published 2 books of English poetry.
Yes.
But in the last about 9-10 months or so, I decided to change over and start writing in Hindi.
Right, okay.
And I've written several lyrics in Hindi. One of them has been, actually is in a film in Bollywood called Bandook.
Yes.
Several more are coming in several films this year.
Okay, great.
And when I saw the IPL and sort of it also touched me. Because I'm a lover of the game myself.
True.
So I thought I must pen some thoughts, and I did it actually for myself. Okay. But when it came out, I thought this is a good idea to actually share it with the public.
Right.
So I called Diler Mehndi because he is doing some of my other songs in Punjabi. I've written in Punjabi as well.
Okay.
And I said, why don't we do this? And he was forthcoming. So we got onto it. He did the song, and then of course somebody else did the video, and we released it.
Yeah. Before going further, it's time to watch a music video song written by Shri Kapil Sibal.
जीत हमारी झूठी होगी इसका पता न था, खेल की दुनिया मैली होगी इसका पता न था, क्रिकेट का ये खेल था समझे ये तो सौदा निकला, क्रिकेट नहीं ये तमाशा है पैसों की ही परिभाषा है, क्रिकेट नहीं ये तमाशा है पैसों की ही परिभाषा है। पैसों का ये खेल बना है अब है पता लगा, कैसे कैसे लोग हैं शामिल मुझको यकीन न था, क्रिकेट नहीं ये तमाशा है पैसों की ही परिभाषा है, क्रिकेट नहीं ये तमाशा है पैसों की ही परिभाषा है। दिलचस्पी से देखें जो सब उनका विश्वास टूटा, जिसकी टीम की जीत हुई थी वो भी मायूस हुआ, कौन है हारा कौन है जीता क्या खेल पैसे का था, मैंने सोचा सब हीरो थे, मैंने सोचा सब हीरो थे क्या पर्दाफाश हुआ, क्रिकेट नहीं ये तमाशा है पैसों की ही परिभाषा है, क्रिकेट नहीं ये तमाशा है पैसों की ही परिभाषा है। ना छोड़ेंगे पद को अपने ऐसा अंदाज हुआ, बड़े बड़े के छोटेपन से दर्शक हैरान हुआ, खेल है ये कोई जंग नहीं है जीते या कोई हारे, बदनाम हुए जो खेल रहे हैं क्रिकेट के सितारे, क्रिकेट नहीं लगता है ये पैसों के खेल हमारे, क्रिकेट नहीं ये तमाशा है पैसों की ही परिभाषा है, क्रिकेट नहीं ये तमाशा है पैसों की ही परिभाषा है, जीत हमारी झूठी होगी इसका पता न था, खेल की दुनिया मैली होगी इसका पता न था,
Wow, very interesting. Sibal sir, what do you think that betting should be legalized or not?
No, see, there are two separate issues. What I'm talking about is match fixing.
Right.
Match fixing is different from betting
True.
and gambling.
True.
Betting and gambling involves a wager
Yeah.
on an outcome which is uncertain.
Right. True.
Right?
True.
You say that, supposing in politics you say कि 2014 में कांग्रेस की 220 सीट आएंगी, and somebody say नहीं 220 नहीं 170 आएंगी,
Right.
right? वो bet लग जाती है. So if you bet on that, the outcome is uncertain,
Right. Right.
right? So that's betting.
Yeah. So,
But
okay.
fixing is
That-
when the outcome is certain.
Right. So that is completely wrong.
That's
you're right.
completely different.
Yeah, yeah.
So we are talking about having of having a law on fixing.
Right.
On betting and gambling, the jurisdiction is with the state legislatures because it's in entry 34 of list 2,
Yeah,
which is
so
betting and gambling. So it's exclusively
It's a state
within the
subject.
domain of the state, within the states. So they can have such a law, but the central government cannot.
No.
Whether it should be there or not is a separate debatable issue.
Right.
Because there are two aspects there.
Yeah.
If you have, especially in the game of cricket, betting and gambling, you will have ordinary families betting and gambling.
Right.
They may lose their family fortunes.
Okay.
Right? This is not like horse racing.
Right,
Because horse racing, people bet on horse racing who are exceptionally rich people, belong to the
Class is
who
different,
own
yeah.
horses, who breed horses,
You're right.
who are participating in.
Yeah.
But cricket is a game for millions and millions of people in India.
True, true.
If you do this is one side of it.
Right.
If you don't legalize it, people will still do it. Because anything you don't legalize goes underground.
Yeah.
Right? So there's the other aspect.
Right.
Now each state has to decide for itself.
No, but on the one side you are saying that popular game should not be legalized as far as
I
betting
didn't
is
say that. I said there are two sides to it.
Right.
One side is that ordinary families, if people start betting, may lose their family fortunes and come on the streets. That's the negative impact.
Yeah.
But if you legalize it, yes, there's a lot of legal betting that will go on. Government will earn revenue,
Yeah,
and the thing will not go underground. So
Right,
that's the
right.
positive side.
Yeah.
But I think each state will have to take a position on it depending on what the popular perception is.
True. On some hardcore issues, there is, the tax liabilities of Vodafone, 11,200 crore. And you are a bit soft about Vodafone.
Not at all. We're not soft at all.
No, because you have changed whatever the
Not
Ashwini
at all.
Kumar
It's
had.
completely wrong. It's factually incorrect.
Okay.
What had happened was that the finance ministry had written to the law ministry
Right.
saying that they want to start non-formal, non-binding
Right.
conciliation proceedings outside acts to see if there's a meeting ground.
Right, okay.
And the then law minister
Right.
gave an opinion on his own,
Right.
saying that any talk in this regard is illegal at its inception.
Okay. Okay.
And therefore you cannot even start talking.
Right.
When that opinion was sent back to the finance minister wrote back saying that no, we do not want to bypass any authority, because the law minister said since this is incorporated in the Finance Act and
Right.
this has been passed by Parliament, how can you start a conciliation which is contrary to something that has been decided by Parliament already through a Finance Act?
Right.
So then the Finance Ministry clarified that no, we don't want to bypass Parliament.
Okay.
We actually want to start talking. If at all there is any possibility of an agreement, of a conciliation, through conciliation, we'll come to the cabinet and we will seek the endorsement of the cabinet. If the cabinet endorses it,
Right.
then we will move Parliament.
Okay.
And if Parliament clears it, then only will the settlement be put into effect.
Okay.
So we are not intending to bypass Parliament, and in this context and in the light of this clarification, please seek the opinion of the Attorney General.
Okay. Okay.
When I joined the Law Ministry, this was already on record.
Right.
So when I saw the clarification of the Finance Ministry and their request to seek the opinion of the Attorney General, I transferred
Okay.
that to the Attorney General saying, please give your opinion.
Okay.
Attorney General gave an opinion saying that in the light of the clarifications of the Finance Ministry, there's nothing wrong in talking.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And that opinion of his was transmitted by me to the Finance Ministry.
Okay.
So I neither had an opinion on it, nor did I change it. I just happened to become a law minister at a time when the Finance Ministry was seeking the Attorney General's advice.
Right.
I sought it and sent it back to the Finance Ministry.
Okay.
The rest is all misinformation which is in the public domain.
Okay. On Idea Cellular, that Spice Telecom and Idea Cellular, I don't see from your side a little bit aggressiveness, which I usually see your actions.
What about Idea
For example, 7 license they got in February. Now the process is still going on. They want that license immediately.
They should get it. I have been telling my bureaucrats that you must clear it immediately. In fact, just the day before yesterday, I called a meeting and said try and finish it this week. Because I've been saying that now that the 3-year period is over and the merger under the conditions laid in the license is valid, then they should get the license. Apparently, they had issued a show cause notice to them prior to the 3-year period, and they had the impression that till that show cause notice is decided, we cannot legalize the merger. And I said one is different from the other. So I've been batting for these people, saying that it's unfair to deny them a license now that the entities have merged. And that the bureaucrats must move forward quickly, and the ministry must give a license as quickly as possible. So I've been actually quite aggressive. But I don't sort of make these statements in public.
You very recently opened up special apps, e-governance and all. Can you please explain what exactly is that?
For example, when you have, we want to put systems in place on platforms on which applications can be made. For example, you have information on any subject which is in the public domain. You put that on the platform. Now anybody can actually use that information and apply it for solutions. That's called an app store. So we have an e-gov platform where only for applications. This could be in education, this could be in healthcare, You have the data there, and with that data people can apply it to certain situations. And so ultimately solutions come from applications, Data is available. And so the government has decided that in this area too, you should have a separate app store through which people can provide solutions to ordinary people.
Before going further, it's time to go for a very short break. Please stay tuned. Narendra Modi's statement against NCPC, where he talked about federal governance and all.
Gujarat has seen, and I think it's something that Gujarat should not be proud of, seen instances of fake encounters.
You're doing politics on the issues related with terrorism.
Exactly. That's exactly what the Chief Minister of Gujarat is doing.
Narendra Modi is becoming a threat for national leaders, and it seems that Narendra Modi is again becoming a threat for Congress party.
For us, he is not a threat. For us, the BJP is not a threat. But certainly the BJP is a player in national politics. And we will be fighting the election, opposing them. And anybody representing the BJP is something that we will have to deal with. And we don't pick for the BJP who should represent them.
Welcome back. We are in talks with Shri Kapil Sibal Saab. On judicial reform, you talk a lot about it. You say that in the appointment of judges, government should have better say. We have over 2.5 crore cases in lower court pending. How to do these kind of reforms?
Now, as far as appointment to the higher judiciary is concerned, through an interpretation given by the Supreme Court in a 1993 judgment, Supreme Court has said that the entire power to appoint people to the higher judiciary is with the judiciary, and the government has no role to play. Well, the fact of the matter is that there is no jurisdiction in the world, in any democratic jurisdiction, where the executive has no role to play. in the appointment of judges. So we believe that just as the judiciary is a key stakeholder in the appointment of judges, so is the executive.
Right.
And we must have an equal share in that process.
Okay.
Unfortunately, because there is a judgment of the Supreme Court, we can't do much about it, except that we would have to change the law and amend the Constitution.
Yeah, yeah.
That requires building a consensus within stakeholders in society, with the judiciary.
True.
So I will be talking to the judiciary. I just had a meeting with very eminent lawyers of India, the most eminent lawyers of India,
Yeah.
and sought their views.
Okay.
And I have to say that they were extremely supportive of our position, and they themselves felt
Okay.
that the present system of appointments through the collegium
Right.
has not worked according to expectations.
Okay.
And I have talked to several judges who themselves have conveyed to me
Okay.
that this is not something that has met their own expectations, the collegium system. So obviously it's not working as well as it should have. Besides, we think in any case government should have an equal share in the appointment of
True,
judges.
true.
So I think we need to build that consensus. I will move forward with the dialogue, after the dialogue,
Yeah.
and hope to build that consensus and take it forward.
Okay. On pending cases in lower court.
As far as pending cases in lower courts is concerned, the problem is very simple. We have about, for a million people, we have about, on an average, 15 judges, 15, 16 judges, right?
Very-
Whereas in normal jurisdictions, where in the developed world, there are at least 50 to 100 judges
Per thousand- per
per
thousand.
million
Per million, okay.
population.
Okay.
So how do 15 perform the work of 50
Yeah,
or 100? That's
True,
not possible.
true, true.
But these appointments ultimately have to be made by the state governments,
Right.
because administration of justice is again a state subject.
True,
Right. And in the order of priorities, the state does not invest so much
Okay.
in making new appointments. So now we have, hopefully through the Finance Commission, we will seek a special dispensation for states to
Yeah.
ensure that the number of judges are doubled.
Right, right.
And in the Chief Justice's conference, which was held on April 7, a decision was taken to double the strength of judges by 2020.
Okay.
And now we are looking at how to find resources.
Right.
Finance Commission is only one way forward, but then there are maybe other ways to actually get resources
Right.
to ensure that this happens. Once the number goes up, it released from 15 to 30, the arrears will start coming down. And once we become 50 or 75,
Yeah.
we'll be able to deal with the problem. But this is a long-term measure. This is not
Right.
something that will happen tomorrow.
Yeah. And resources issue, there's no doubt at all.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, NCTC, the Narendra Modi's statement against NCTC, where he talked about federal governance and all. You said that he's expert of understanding as far as terror is concerned and how terrorism work.
That was tongue-in-cheek, because I mean, Gujarat has seen, and I think it's something that Gujarat should not be proud of, seen instances of fake encounters where some very high police personnel are being prosecuted. I don't think any state should be proud of any of these things. And I think that the Chief Minister of Gujarat has a habit of making statements for the sake of making statements.
But do you think
I mean,
that-
we all want to fight terrorism.
Right.
Certainly not the way terrorism has been fought in Gujarat,
Okay.
because that's on the basis of fake encounter.
Right.
But to sort of inhibit taking forward the NCTC, not allowing the collaborative process to move forward, you're actually giving in to terrorism. And what Modi is indirectly doing is succumbing to terrorism
Right.
by raising the bogey of federalism. There is no issue of federalism involved here.
Don't you
It is a
think-
collaborative effort between the state government and the central government.
don't you think
and ultimately, if you do not do this, the country will pay for it,
Yeah.
and we will have the kind of things that happened in Chhattisgarh recently,
Yeah.
where the top leadership of the Congress party was wiped out.
So don't you think that you're doing politics on the issues related with terrorism?
Exactly. That's exactly what the Chief Minister of Gujarat is doing. He is, in fact, doing a great disservice to the nation
Okay.
by bringing politics into our fight against terrorism. What does he mean by saying that what's a federal issue here? The state government is equally concerned, I am sure, to fight terror. And the central government wants to wants to give a helping hand. Central government has a lot of resources. I don't mean just in terms of money, but other resources that are available that can help the state government in the process. So what is the problem here?
No, but
I mean, nobody. I mean, certainly, we will make sure that the state is a collaborative partner in this, and that's exactly what the Home Minister has said.
No, but if you see the data as far as terrorism is concerned, in Gujarat things are going down.
What is going down?
I mean, the terrorist attack and all.
Well, Gujarat is not a minefield for terror. It's in Chhattisgarh and in other states in India where Maoism has come up. Maoism is not there in Gujarat. Terror is of a different kind in Gujarat.
Okay. Okay.
It's what happened in the past was terror of the state through these fake encounters.
Okay.
What has that got to do with the
Okay.
Maoist threat?
Okay.
That's nothing to do with it. And whether it has gone down or what do you mean by gone down? You've killed innocent people. Innocent people have been killed on the basis of fake encounters, right? With a false threat that some people had come to take the life of the Gujarat Chief Minister. This is now part of the investigation. Now, where is the question of terror coming down in Gujarat? Question
Okay.
is the boot is on the other leg.
It
in
seems
Gujarat.
that, you know, everywhere within the BJP, Narendra Modi is becoming a threat for national leaders, and it seems that Narendra Modi is again becoming a threat for Congress party.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, why do
way
you say
you-
he's a threat for the Congress party?
The way you people react, whatever
Why
he
do you
says.
ask a question?
Okay.
Why are you asking me a question on Modi?
Okay.